It's Friday, August 22nd, and I think we've all been fed a load of horseshit when it comes to this Air Canada strike. Because a lot of news organizations, including the CBC, put out articles that kind of suggested that the fact that Air Canada and the union were back at the table in binding arbitration, that was a good thing. If I'm honest, reading that everywhere, I was kind of under the impression that maybe that was true. I thought it seemed like a good idea. I thought it was a sign that the Liberals had realized that they'd overstepped. I thought it showed that someone had made efforts to show the assholes at the top that they couldn't just exploit the working class in such a perverse manner so blatantly in broad daylight. But you'll notice nobody has voted to accept anything yet. Air Canada hasn't put forward anything that the union can take back to their constituents and get a favorable response yet. Because unfortunately, the Liberals are still working to fuck the working class. And I don't want anyone to think that I'm suddenly carrying water for the Conservatives. Again, all the major political parties have shown that they're more than willing to fuck over unions lately, but the union hasn't been able to come out and say, hey, we got you something better than the shitty deal that Air Canada came up with when they knew that Mark Carney and Patty Hadju were looking out for the rich and not the working class. The union hasn't been able to say that because as far as I've heard, it hasn't happened yet. They're still stuck in binding arbitration with, as I understand it, a process being run by a former Air Canada lawyer. Just a reminder, most Air Canada flight attendants are women, and most of the rest are some form of queer. Why was the Liberal government so quick to sabotage a rare opportunity for these people to get treated fairly at work? Why did Canada's government prioritize the convenience of people who wanted to go on vacation? If the work that these flight attendants do is so vital to the industry, then why the hell hasn't the federal government told Air Canada to improve their offer? If your CEO can be making millions, that means there's still money on the table that could go to the workers. Until the government reverses course and agrees to allow the flight attendants to strike legally, we are left having to admit that Carney and the rest of the Liberal government who support him, also the other parties who they ain't gonna vote to bring down the government. And again, I ain't even saying I want another election because that probably favors the Conservatives. And again, I don't think the Conservatives do any better on this. But the fact is, the NDP and the Bloc, also all the Liberal MPs, should be phoning up Carney and saying, hey, you're making us look as out of touch as you are. Stop fucking with the union. But they're not, because nobody cares. Because we elect narcissists. We elect assholes. Part of historically what has separated us from America is that in Canada, companies have been forced to treat employees better. But ask yourself, is that what our government seems to be prioritizing right now? Or are they mostly prioritizing stuff that makes life easier for business boys?